If I were starting a service business in 2026, I'd do fewer things than most people, not more. I wouldn't do the most of the things that people would tell you to do. I wouldn't run a bunch of ads on different platforms. I wouldn't offer 10 services, and I wouldn't try to cover an entire city. I put hard limits on what I'm allowed to focus on because constraints force better decisions. When you remove options, execution just gets simpler and growth stops feeling so chaotic. I'm going to walk you through the exact framework that I'd use to build a service company that will actually scale in 2026. If growth has felt messy, this is how you simplify it. Let's start with the first decision because everything else builds on top of it. So growth gets easy or hard based on the model that you choose. The wrong model forces you to start over every single month, every single year. The right model compounds month after month and year after year. If I'm starting over in 2026, I'm choosing a service with recurring revenue built into it. That's just what I like. The customer naturally just needs you again. Let's go with pest control, fertilization weed control, cleaning, pool services, HVAC, maybe garage doors with memberships. But the same reason they work is because it's predictable revenue. Let's just say your average customer is worth $1,000 a year. You only need 1,000 customers to build $1 million business. Not an entire city, it's just a few neighborhoods. If you pick the right model, everything else literally just gets easier. I got a couple good examples. So I have two friends. Well, I have more than two friends, but I have two friends in this example that one owns a big landscaping company and the other owns a really big wildlife company. And they both crush it and they have lots of cash and they have great businesses and live really good lives. But every single year, it's the same story. They sell a couple $1 million worth of work, or $1 million, or $2 million, $3 million worth. And every single year that they have to start over from zero. And they have conversations, they just almost like they take the wind out of their sail and then they have to get motivated again to go do it again. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that you can't build a model with wildlife, for example, that has recurring revenue built into it. I'm just saying pick a model, choose a model that has the recurring revenue built into it from day one. So when you go sell $1 million in your first year, maybe you start out in year 2 with $800,000. But like I said, pick the right model and everything else will get easier year after year because it just compounds. Going into 2026, I don't care what people say, but branding matters. People will judge you, what they see, before they judge what you do. If I'm starting over in 2026, I'm going to build a professional brand, even if I only have one truck. And it's 4 simple things. Obviously, you're going to pick a really good business name, a clean, modern logo, a wrap truck, a simple one-page website that converts. You don't have to spend $10,000 on this thing. Just make sure it's built to convert. So you're driving traffic, and that converts at a high conversion rate. That will bring you good leads that will convert into new customers. But brand will create trust for you guys. And trust affects your pricing, it affects your hiring, it affects referrals, and it even affects the growth of your speed. If you look small, you get treated small. If you look legitimate, people just assume there's a competent person or a competent team behind the brand. Now, recently, I've gotten a lot of pushback on this one, saying that people haven't seen a better ROI from a wrap truck versus a not wrap truck. And there's 100 cases out there, thousands of cases out there that shows different. But almost every single time that I see this, it comes from a door knocking company. Okay, so if your only lead source, a majority of your lead source, let's say 90% of your leads come from door knocking, maybe you don't need a wrap truck. Maybe you need to have a truck with the name on the side. But if you're really good at marketing and you want to show up everywhere and you want to do all the things that we've talked about, from door hanger campaigns to EDDM campaigns to wrap trucks, all this stuff works together, and you'll see a massive increase on an ROI from a wrap truck. Easy examples. If you've seen 3 white trucks coming down the road with the names on the side, they kind of just blend in. This is common sense. If you see a bright blue truck with green lettering or a big orange truck with white lettering that's wrapped, that says your name, has your logo on the side, you're just going to stand out. That's common sense. And if you're in the neighborhood, people see a white truck and they drive by it, they don't even look twice. Now, if you drive by the same orange truck, it's a head turner. I don't care what anyone says, this is common sense. So you will see a massive ROI on a wrap truck. So to all the door-to-door companies listening to this, it's not a knock on you. You guys are awesome at what you do, but maybe you're not so great at marketing. And I've had so many door-to-door companies come to me to learn marketing for this reason alone. Our number 2 lead source in 2025 is from referrals. And referrals start with your brand and your truck. It all works together. All right, so now let's go into marketing for 2026. If I'm starting a new service business, 2026, this is the exact marketing that I would use. But this is also where I see a lot of operators, especially early on, really mess up. They try to do everything at once. They try to spread themselves thin. They burn money, and they don't know what worked or what didn't work. So here's the rule: diversify on organic attention and focus on paid attention. So if I'm starting from zero, I'm literally going to show up everywhere that I can for free. You talk about Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Google My Business, local paid Facebook groups, everywhere that you can possibly show up for free. Maybe if you want to spend a little money, you could do the door hangers and EDDM, but almost all those are free. This just builds familiarity, and familiarity just builds trust. And I think they say like that someone has to see you in 2026 almost 21 or 24 times before they'll even buy from you. So if they're seeing you everywhere for free, it just lowers the acquisition cost naturally. But for paid ads, I choose one channel, just one. And here's why. When you have a small budget and you split it up, you just split your data, you learn slower, and you're just constantly guessing more. One channel lets you learn fast, you optimize fast, and you scale with confidence. And I see so many people, though, they tried Yelp, they tried Google, they tried Facebook, and they say nothing works. Well, that's because they have a small budget already, and they're splitting it off into 3 different platforms. They're not letting it work. They don't go all in on one. And then they're pissed off at the platform, or they're pissed off at their marketing company and say that nothing works. But stick to one service and one platform. So if you have like emergency calls, maybe like pest control or HVAC or plumbing, Google's probably the place to be. Now it's more story driven, or maybe it's more Facebook. If you're selling something that's younger audience, maybe it's TikTok or TikTok Shop. But if you want, going into dense neighborhoods, maybe it's direct mail. But choose one channel, one focus. After $1 million, then you can expand, but just not before. I see this happen all the time. So again, get ultra focused, put all your money on one platform, go all in, get really, really good at that. Once you figure out that one platform, you get to $1 million, then you can start to double down on the next platform. One of my favorite topics going into 2026 is LTV to CAC is the game. Always has been the game and always will be the game. So before I go spend money on ads, I want to understand this one thing. And I want you guys to understand this one thing. How much a customer is worth versus how much it actually costs to get them. That's LTV to CAC. LTV is lifetime value of the client, and CAC is customer acquisition cost. So here's the simple version breakdown of that. If a customer is worth $1,000 and it costs you $100 to get them, that's a really great business. If a customer costs you $400 to get that same customer that's worth $1,000, that's a very stressful business. I want my lifetime value to be several times higher than what I'm paying to acquire a customer. That's why I stick to one channel. That's why I care about retention. That's why I care about recurring revenue. Because when the math, it just maths. So let's just say, we'll use pest control as an example. Let's just say the average customer is worth $1,000 and they stay with you for 5 years and you paid $100 to get them. That's a 50 to 1 CAC to LTV ratio. That's a extremely good business. Now let's just say average customer is $1,000 and then they stay 3 years. I mean, you paid $100, right? That's 30 to 1. That's still a really, really good business. But in any service that you choose, I like to see a minimum of 20 to 1. And again, once the numbers make sense, everything else gets so much easier. So if I know that I have a machine in front of me and every time that I put in $100, it spits out a customer that's worth $1,000, how many times do you take that $100 and put it in that machine to get that $1,000 back? Over and over and over again. So when you look at marketing budgets, I agree, maybe you should have a budget. But if I know that I can put $100 in and get $1,000 back, I'm just going to keep churning that money and churning that money and churning the money as fast as I possibly can. Now, let's just talk about route density because that's where the profit actually shows up. So again, when you're picking a service business to start in 2026, this is where I see a lot of people, a lot of operators lose a lot of money without realizing it. They try to cover the entire city. They feel like they're growing, but it literally is killing their margin. So if I'm starting over in 2026, I pick 2 or 3 zip codes and I literally dominate them just like I talk about in the book. And here's what matters. Early on, I made the same exact mistakes. I was selling everything to everyone because it just seemed like it made sense and it felt like I was growing. I was driving all over. I was chasing every single job. but the result was literally long days with no money. So pick a service that has route density and it'll change everything. So if you're driving 20 minutes, like I said, or an hour between stops, you might do 4, 6, 8 jobs a day. But if you're driving 3 minutes between stops, you can do 15, maybe 20. It's the same truck, same tech, same hours, but completely different income, completely different stress level. So this is what I see happen a lot right away, that people are doing Google search ads, which are great. You get leads in and you're selling the jobs. And they're showing up all over the place. So you're driving from one side of town to the other side of town, and literally they're only getting 3 or 4 jobs a day. And they grew this business. 5 years later, they have a bunch of jobs on one side of town, a bunch of jobs on the other side of town, and they're losing so much time driving between jobs. And I see it over and over again. Make sure you narrow down your marketing on any platform. Get super focused on route density, because this is where the profit will really show up. So with starting a business in 2026, make sure you're focusing on route density, not chasing every single job like I did. Now we're talking about one of my other favorite topics in 2026. Most service businesses overcomplicate sales. They explain way too much. They talk about things that just the customer does not care about, that don't even matter. Sales in 2026 should just be super simple. We're not trying to pressure anyone. We're not trying to sound clever. We're just guiding the conversation in the right order. And so here's the process. You want to clarify why they're calling in, confirm their problem, understand what they've tried in the past, explain your solution, stack value, your guarantees, create urgency, handle their concerns if they have any, get the card on file, and schedule a job. Same order, every single call, every single time. Don't make this too complicated. When sales are simple, conversions just go up naturally. So really just got to focus on your sales process for 2026. So I'm not offering 10 different services or 20 different packages. It makes everything so hard. Make it very simple. 1 or maybe 2 services that you sell. It'll be very simple. Make it easy to sell. Later on, if you want to upsell something, do it. But for now, keep it very simple, straightforward. Make it easy for the customer, solve their problem, and sign them up and go take care of it. That simple. In 2026, speed wins almost every single time. Speed is one of the biggest advantages that you have right now. Customers just expect fast responses. Not later, not tomorrow, now. So the days of not answering your phone, not calling someone back, of not responding to text message, not emailing back, those days are long gone. The days of fulfillment from a week to 2 weeks to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, again, long gone. And here's the truth. Speed beats better ads, beats better branding, speed beats better pricing. The first company to respond almost always wins. If you tighten up the response time alone, you will outperform bigger companies with bigger budgets. Speed is massive leverage. So here's a good example. Last year, my heat went out in my house in the middle of winter. Picked up the phone, called the first person. They didn't answer. Didn't even bother to leave a message. Called the second person on Google. Called. They didn't answer. Left a message. And I think they called me back like the next day. Wait. The third company I called said, hey, we're really busy right now. They actually answered their phone, said they're busy right now. We can't get someone there for a week. Cool. Well, at least they answered the phone. Pick the phone again. Call the next person. The fourth person said, hey, we can get someone out there today. I didn't care what it cost. I had no heat. They got someone out here that same day. They answered their phone, came solve my problem. And that's just what people are looking for. It's 2026. People don't want to wait. They want to get the problem solved, especially it's HVAC, plumbing. Maybe they have bad pest problem, bed bugs, whatever. They want the problem solved now. Not a week later, not 2 weeks later, not responding to their text message, not responding to their voicemail, not responding to their, not even answering the call to begin with. The first person who answers the phone almost always wins. If that first company could have got someone out here the day or the next day, I would have chose them because I was just finding someone to solve my problem right then and there. Going into 2026, and you're talking about a service industry, getting new customers is getting harder, obviously, but keeping them is almost everything. Retention buys you time when ads slow down or even when the seasons change. And simple things matter that you guys have to focus on in 2026. You have to have check-ins, you have to have follow-ups, you have to have referral systems, and just basic appreciation. But a company that keeps customers, they just don't really have to panic. They don't have to start over every single year. Here's a good example. I have a friend that crushed it, really good company. And every single year his churn or attrition rate was 50%. So every single year he'd have to start over, grow by 50% more just to break even where he was from the previous year, then grow by 10, 15, 20% just to have growth in the year. So he really, really, really had to focus on retention. There's really good books out there that help you with attrition. So say ultra focused on not just getting new customers, but creating a system inside your system that rewards current customers so they want to stay longer. Because that is the game. If you can start out, like I said earlier, sell $1 million in year one, and you can show up in year two, and already start out with 800, 900, 950,000, that's a great business. Average churn in our industry is typically 20%. So if you're under 20%, you're doing really, really good. I've seen some companies at 5%. So really, really get focused on attrition. It'll help you long term. It could save you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars going forward. I'm telling you this now. So if you're starting over in 2026, yes, it's about getting customers. Also focus on the customers that you have. As you guys know, technicians in 2026 are getting harder and harder to find than even customers. But you guys have to remember that your culture is in your marketing. People want to see what it's like to work for you. If no one knows your culture, you won't attract good people. Show the team, show the growth, show the opportunity, even from day one. Show them the roadmap from how to get from point A to point B, from maybe just a start technician to a certified technician to maybe a branch manager to maybe even a partner or owner. But show them the roadmap from day one, sell them the dream. And then speaking about hiring, waiting too long to hire keeps owners stuck. I see it over and over and over again. So if I'm starting over in 2026, I'm probably going to hire at 50% capacity. So if a route, let's say a route's worth $330,000 or $300,000, let's go with $150,000. So I get $150,000 of revenue. I'm going to buy back my time. I'm going to go out and sell. I'm going to have time to market, time to build systems, time to lead my technician. If you have a little bit of capital, you can probably hire right away. But for those who don't, that's where I'm going to hire. I know my time is best getting new work to fill that first route, then to start filling the second route as well. Also, when picking your service business, make sure that you have a good revenue per employee or per technician. So like this HVAC, plumbing, I think is like $500,000 per technician, maybe more. Pest control is $300,000 to $400,000, maybe more. Lawn care is like $300,000 to $400,000 with fertilization, weed control, maybe more, maybe less. But make sure you're looking at the numbers. So again, there's no diss on lawn care, lawn mowing, but if your revenue per employee is $200,000 for two people, so it's $125,000 a person, it's just hire more people to make less money. So again, when you're looking at what you guys want to do for 2026, make sure you're picking a service business that has really good revenue per technician. Next, just make sure you have a CRM. I've said it a million times, probably in a million YouTube videos, probably in a million podcasts. Just get a CRM set up. You don't have to go break the bank on this thing, go spend a couple $100, but you already have a place to keep your customers, have automatic billing set up, you have routing, you have, maybe a weekly scorecard, your marketing calendar, but you can just track the basics and then just make sure you get in some automation set up, right? It's not optional. This way you don't have to hire a bunch of people right away. But you can automate just all the boring stuff so you don't have to hire humans. Like I said, the billing, it's the follow-ups, the reviews, reminders, lead responses. You can automate all this. Just spend the money. Like trying to do this on Google Sheets. And like, I just can't afford the $299. I promise you can't afford not to spend the $299. I've talked to so many people with big businesses, small businesses, that life is chaotic because they don't have a CRM. And I can't tell them enough to go get a CRM. I will. And then they don't again. And the life's chaos. They want to sell. Well, no kidding. I would want to sell too. You got to just, from day one, bite the bullet, go spend a couple $100 and get a good CRM. That's simple. So if I'm starting over in 2026, I'm going to document the entire journey. People just buy from people. They buy from people that they know, like, and trust. So if I'm starting out in 2026, I'm literally going to film everything. And here's the key. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. Like, you guys all have phones. Start recording. Buy yourself some Meta glasses, a couple $100. Buy some used ones. Get a cheap GoPro. But literally, just film every single thing from behind the scenes to what you're doing on the job. Everything that you're doing. People will get familiar with you. being in all the groups, being on Facebook, and you'll naturally just get more clients, more trust, people to like you, and you're going to document the entire journey, and people will want to go along your journey with you. So again, very simple. You can get a VA or edit yourself, but just get the content out there. I think Gary Vee said by 2027 or 2028, if you don't have any video content, you'll be dead in the water. You'll be obsolete. Start focusing on that right now. It's never too late. Once you guys go through 2026 and you see that all these things that I talked about work, you can literally just repeat it. You can do it with another technician. You can do it with another truck. You can do it with another zip code. But scaling is literally just repetition. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. Pick a model, do the simple things that work, and just repeat over and over and over again until you get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, $10 million in revenue, and just keep repeating it. So if I had to start over in 2026, this is exactly how I do it. There'd be clear constraints, simple decisions, consistent execution. That's how you guys build a real service business from scratch in 2026. So make sure to leave some comments below on what you guys are going to implement in 2026 and what was the most helpful. Again, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.